Into the ropes and off. A flying tackle by and a drop kick.
10 pounds of pure gold.
Got to hold this just a minute. You want a little bit more?
I'm the real heavyweight champion.
Gotta be the best of me. It's more to me than anything I've ever done in wrestling.
Nick Aldis, the 10 pounds of gold. The championship has existed in its current proper form since 19.
That was pretty good. And look at Buddy going to work now. Oh.
Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of Total Extreme Wrestling 2020, Billy Corgans NWA. Welcome to the new year in the save. We are obviously well into the new year in 2021 in the real world, but we were a few months behind here. I don't know how we ever always seem to fall behind, because I feel like we always do it week to week, but I guess sometimes we fall aside a little bit. Not a huge deal by any stretch of the imagination, but it's always odd to kind of fall behind here. And we made a database, which you should all have access by now. I'm recording a bunch of these early because I happen to be on vacation while I'm recording these, so I actually hopefully being able to stockpile a bunch of NWA, which will help out building some of the other shows on this channel, some of the other content, because we're trying to get a lot more content out to you guys. So, you know, we've had a weaker year in 2020, a lot of weird, nasty stuff happening in the world, and definitely affected this channel in terms of its output. And we're trying to get back to putting more stuff out, more shows, more TEW content, more wrestling content in general, and stockpiling some of these are going to help. So you may notice a little bit less reactivity from these videos, because we're probably going to have these out a couple weeks ahead of time now, which is cool because we'll have other stuff as well. So that's kind of how that is working. I will still be responding to people on Discord a lot, so if you have questions, comments, things as it's happening, go ahead and join the Discord. There's a link in the description. And also, obviously, I've been hearing that some people that have been watching us in the past have not been getting notified of new shows. They thought we were on a hiatus. We are definitely not. We've been here going strong. So if you're not subscribed and you're watching, or if you are subscribed, please make sure you're subscribed, and that little notification bell. I know it sounds so annoying to say, but it actually will notify you immediately when a new episode is up, because YouTube won't, apparently, let you know. So feel free to click both of those. It helps the channel out, but more importantly, it lets you know when the new episodes are popping up. Now, let's look at this show real quick. One of the things I want to look at is our Wrestler of the Year situation, because we do have all of this nice, fun info from our fake Wrestling Observer. We got Wrestler of the Year as Kazuchika Okada, or Kazuchika Okada, depending on who you ask how to say it. Company of the Year, of course, is New Japan. Team of the Year is Cody and Kenny Omega. Match of the Year goes to Okada versus Jay White. And Show of the Year goes to Destruction and Beppu. Young Wrestler of the Year is Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Veteran is Hiroshi Tanahashi. Female wrestler is Becky Lynch. Independent wrestler is Austin Aries, who for some reason doesn't have a picture. Manager of the Year is Paul Heyman. Announcer of the Year is Mauro Ranallo, who's still in NXT in the save. Interesting. Ultramantis Black gets the color commentator of the year, and Jason Ayers becomes the best ref of the year. So kind of some cool stuff. WWE seems to be not purging people, but there's some interesting movements going on. Undertaker looks like they are purging him from the contracts. So some just general interesting things going on that we're gonna have to keep an eye on. So like workers leaving. Those are loans. Oh, I want WWE, not AEW. Going into here and taking a look. Akam and Razor gone, which we scooped up already. And I want workers extensions. Oh, those are all extended deals. Okay, so maybe not that much movement. Maybe because we're not I don't know. We might be getting somebody else. I might not be able to afford them. It might be a bad idea, but somebody showed up in between saves that might be very interesting to get into the NWA, and to make room for it, we'll do what we need to do, and so be it, right? So, where we last left off, we were still doing our 1 hour powers. I still feel like I might move up to hour and a half. We can't do 2 hours. We just don't have the money for it. But maybe an hour and a half might be a little bit easier to manage. It's kind of a weird one because nobody in real life has such a thing, really. But maybe we would have an hour and a half of programming might be more beneficial to us. We're going to play it out to see, because we can do an hour and a half. I think just that extra half hour might help us with booking, but it might not help our financial situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to table that until February, and we'll just run smart, run lean, and once we look at the financial situation, we'll decide whether we might as well or not, right? Because we might be running into a situation, and we're running in a bunch of situations, but we might have to look at our contracts, and I feel like we might have to let Pillman go. We're going to have to pay out the wazoo for it, but we might have to. I don't know if 17 a month is going to be something that's tenable in the long term. And maybe it was a rash decision, an emotional decision on our part to just keep somebody we felt was a pillar, and maybe there's better alternatives, maybe there's better ways, and maybe I just made a rash decision, because I'm kind of, I'll admit, I'm getting a little bit of sticker shock situation with him, where I feel like we could have let him go, and it probably would have been fine. I just didn't want to, as I felt like for 3 years we've been building him up. Just to see him go was rough. Now, we've been getting smarter. We've been locking people into exclusive contracts for a year, because AEW's gone from our alliance, and we can't even pull people in anymore. We have nobody in any of our alliance championships right now. So we're gonna have to find some people. I'm shocked that AEW left us. I'm assuming he would not join. They do not meet the membership requirements. What's our membership requirements? Like, how do they not meet our small, medium, big, American companies, entertainment, product, kids friendly? I'm not sure why they why they don't fit that, but we probably should bring the NWA or the CZW into the fold. I think we're going to change their name too. So if you guys got an idea for a good name change for Combat Zone, it might actually just end up becoming Championship Wrestling from Philadelphia or something, or Tri-State Championship Wrestling. We might just change their name completely and rebrand them down the line, because they don't necessarily fit the aesthetic here. But, you know, that is what it is. All right. Someone could tell me why all of a sudden AEW bounced on us and also doesn't fit the requirement. Let me know. I don't see why they would. We got Genesis, which is a temporary name because it used to be Into the Fire, which is a fun one. NWA Into the Fire, which we had done already, but with the rescheduling, we had to kind of change things up. So we have NWA Genesis in 26 days, Power in 3, and some storylines that we're doing. So let's go ahead and let's just get on with it. Oh, what do we got going on here? Mystico loaned to New Japan, which is cool. Yeah. Hey guys, guess who we got? I can't believe this went through. So let's talk about this signing. It's not too bad. It's expensive though. It's $2,300 per show, 1 year exclusive for Samoa Joe. I think it's worth it. I think it's hella worth it. I don't know. We could send him to NWA. We could send him down to CZW if we wanted to. I think this is a no-brainer. Like, look at his profile here. 68 across the board. Look at the skill set. This dude's a monster. A monster. The only thing we got to figure out is what the hell he's going to do, because I don't necessarily want him in the main event scene yet, because I don't know if we have anyone built up to be conceivably convinced to take him. So I think he might end up being our Alliance champion, to be honest, and kind of roam through the various companies that we work for and be our Alliance champion for quite a bit, and be a interesting hand to have. We kept him for 1 year exclusive, so it's not going to be too long. I don't think $2,300 per show is that bad. I mean, we lost money in December, but not that much. Some of that had to do with buying a title, but yeah, we're not penny pinching anymore. We have to find a revenue stream and make sense of it. But right now, I think this is going to do a lot to boost our popularity. I think it's worth keeping, and I think it's worth taking from AEW at this point, just to keep somebody on that's strong. So, we won't have him for a while, but that is a pretty damn good get, I think. There's some handshake deals going on. King Mo, due to a contract expiry. Did we gotta take a look at this here real quick. We might have had a flub here. King Mo, Zachary Wentz. I think they expired because they were done on their contract. So a slight delay on the next tournament, not a big deal. Let's grab them in real quick for a 1 month contract, and it'll be fine. Not a big deal. They're not anywhere special. So Timo and Zachary. I know we were having trouble also with not Xavier. We were having a similar trouble with Effie. Just I forgot to renegotiate, and they went into a lapsed period where you couldn't sign him. 1 month. Oh, did I just set Mo to? Let me change that. Ongoing. He might end up winning. I wouldn't be shocked, but okay, there we go. So that's fine. A little bit of a flub. So we're not going to have the next part of the tournament today, which I thought we were going to, but instead that'll happen during the pre-show at a different point, and we'll have to spin the wheel probably when they show up next week. Not a huge deal. We got a show tonight. Let's get it on and see what we got going on. All right, we do have a locker room incident we have to deal with. Madison Eagles' David Finlay is interesting. Was brought before a wrestler's court accused of being absorbed in her phone instead of paying attention to the locker room. I could see that. Oh, Madison. Yep, I could definitely see that. Not a huge issue. Let's do an open forum. We have some people that are irritated, and I think we could afford allowing the airing of grievances there to help us out a little bit. We do need to set ourselves up in the arena here at this venue. We're down to 483, so we've lost some momentum in terms of expected audience. Not the end of the world, but that's a shame, especially because I thought we put on a really good show last night. But it's slow going. It's not a big deal. All right. Absent workers, Samoa Joe, just contract hasn't begun yet. We'll be very excited to bring him in. Let me know what you guys think of where we should put him. I think generally the idea of putting him as the Alliance champion would be pretty fun, especially as we put him on the burner for when we want to move him up to the 10 pounds and make him fight for it. We don't know who will be champion at that point, but I think that'll be a good idea. All right, let's go ahead and let's book it. All right, guys, we are ready for our next episode of Power. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling like after this episode, I think we're just going to bite the bullet and go to an hour and a half. It's just too difficult to do 1 hour with the roster size, I think. And I don't necessarily want to do 2 shows, so I think an hour and a half might be just give us enough leverage. So expect that after this episode. We're just going to bite the bullet and commit to it. And if we lose money, we lose money. But it's more important to tell a story, I think, because it's very difficult. We didn't get nearly as much done as I would like to, especially not as much done as we used to with the 2 hours. But maybe an hour will suffice. I mean, we'll see. Granted, there is a big match in here, a very long one, as we find our first Heritage Alliance Tag Team Champions. So we do a little bit of a rumble. So that takes up some amount of time, but not enough to say we just don't have enough time. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at it and see where we are. We start the show with a pre-show. It's not bad. It's not great, though. Kimberly and Delilah Doom team up and defeat Allison Kay and Willow Nightingale in 8 minutes. Delilah Doom gets the pin, and Kimberly carried the match with a 50. Everyone else had a 34, 32, 36. We kind of starts advance some stories, even though it's in the pre-show, which is interesting. I wouldn't think that would happen, but apparently it does. I guess for the people that are watching live there, they kind of get a little bit of a sense of some story as we build up a bit of a relationship between Kimberly and Delilah Doom. So that's kind of interesting. It's a 43. It's actually not too bad comparatively when you think about the disparate parts in here. That's actually not too bad at all. Another pre-show match, because neither of them were on the show. I'm just giving Ace Austin and Eli Drake a match. It had great wrestling, good heat. They both did fantastic. Unfortunately, Eli Drake defeats Ace Austin, I know. But Ace Austin, we couldn't get Eli Drake to put Austin over, but we will get there. Austin showing that in-ring promise, though, at a 62. Drake having a 59. And ending the segment at a 57, which is pretty damn good for a pre-show match. We probably should have put that on the show. So Eli Drake gets a win. Ace Austin comes close. It's a quick roll-up. He doesn't lose that much from it, but we get to kind of show him off, let him build up something, and keep him on the show a little bit. We start the show proper. Wow, this segment does pretty good. Jarrett definitely is the right decision for our GM, because we're putting in some pretty good ratings here. Jarrett comes out and announces that there will be a new match concept tonight. Well, actually, he announces 2 things, but I couldn't write it. One, we are going to have a Rumble, a tag team battle royal elimination match for our inaugural Alliance Tag Team Heritage Champion, including the members of this roster, as well as some new faces that are looking to face the challenge. and also announcing a new concept just from him, again, for what's best for business and best for opportunities for the roster here. He announces the idea of a hotshot match. The idea of this match is that he handpicks a competitor that he thinks has potential and has been on an upswing as of late, and was impressed by their performance, and gives them an exhibition match against the current NWA champion. If they manages to beat the NWA champion, they get themselves a title shot the following week. So, kind of almost like New Japan rules. If you beat the champion in an exhibition match, you deserve the right to fight him. So he gives them an opportunity of, like, if you can beat the guy, then, you get the opportunity to face him. It's kind of cool. We don't know how often this will happen, but it's a new match type in our booking arsenal. His announcement for this is that he was very impressed at the dark match last week and decided that he would like to see Miro get a shot at the contendership for tonight's Hot Shot Challenge. He seems very pleased with this idea. Eddie Kingston, though, does not. He barges out to yell at Jarrett, interrupting him on the microphone, saying the entire thing is bullshit, and that he should have a chance after he was screwed by Jarrett. Jarrett remains pretty calm and looks at him and kind of calls him out on this. And he says, Eddie, we really should have this conversation in the office, don't you think? But if you want to do this here, we can talk in front of everybody. And let me be frank with you. I just don't think you're a contender for this title. We need the best of the best representing the NWA. We need them to walk the walk, talk the talk, and most importantly, have the look of a champion. They need to feel important. They need to be important. And Eddie, I'm sorry, but that's just not you. Maybe some other time down the road. Eddie is furious and doesn't have anything really to say. He just storms off. And Jarrett kind of smiles a little coyly at the situation. So there's some animosity straight with Kingston. So it seems like maybe it's not so much Jarrett is in line with Pillman, but more that he's almost against Kingston or has his own machinations. We'll kind of have to see how that plays out. The angle got the crowd hotter, got the show off to a great start, and overall we advance the story of Kingston versus Pillman as we kind of continue this feud. After that, we have Matt Cross and Ricky Starks versus Sleaze and Breeze in an exhibition tag match. A lot of tag matches tonight, by the way. Well, as many as we can have in an hour. But Sleaze and Breeze actually defeat Matt Cross and Ricky Starks in 10 minutes. Zicky Dice gets the win and pins Matt Cross. Ricky had a 44 and Matt had a 48. Breeze had a 43 and Zicky had a 46. We continue the Ocean's Rise, Empire's Fall storyline. Gains heat. And Ricky Starks seems off his game, certainly. I think before he was giving us a 40, so that's kind of interesting. Gets us at a 44, and then some interesting developments here as Matt Cross once again stumbles and loses the team a win, a much-needed win. And Starks clearly doesn't have Eddie Kingston's compassion in this situation because he immediately starts bickering and arguing with Matt Cross for the loss, clearly blaming him for the L, angry, vicious, and kind of pushes him aside. Matt Cross is arguing back, and Cross eventually just kind of puts his hands up in the air and just walks away from him. So there's definitely within the underbelly of the kingdom, there are cracks forming here as well, as Starks and Matt Cross clearly are starting to have some relationship issues, some budding animosity towards each other, and Matt Cross they don't have any performances, but total together they have 38. It's not bad, it's not great, but we advance the storyline. We do lose some heat for it, unfortunately. Now, here's a fun one. We got the Heritage Tag Rumble, for the first champion. It's hyped up, and all the contenders come in, and debuting on the microphone is Enzo and Big Cass. Yes, they finally show up in NWA. It's kind of a weird one to show up in NWA, but I think actually they fit the feeling a lot. I've been wanting to get them in, and they seem to be ready. They weren't hired by anybody anywhere, and we've had both of them in the company at different times, but now we have them together. Enzo actually was an NWA champion like 3 years ago, so it's cool. We're bringing them back as a tag. The gimmicks both are very good, and gets us a 54 for their debut segment as they come in, and of course Enzo improvising well as he kind of tells them their name and who they are and what they're certified in, and what they can and cannot teach you that they know. So you know the routine, and they're there for it. And we hotshot them pretty hard, because we got Sleaze and Breeze getting another match. Actually, I probably should have gave this to War Machine. I forgot that I put Sleaze and Breeze in here. So poor guys are double working. I hope it does not hurt them too much. The Ascension, Warhausen, and Enzo and Big Cass, the undercard of our tag division, getting the Rumble, and clearly Enzo and Big Cass defeat them all, and win the Alliance Heritage Tag Team titles. I figure this will be a good way to boost up the tag titles and put a good contender in it for somebody else, like Sleaze and Breeze, or some of our other new tag teams that are coming in to challenge for it, as we kind of have this mid-card tag title. Everyone does really well, actually, except for Big Cass, who was penalized for being in poor form. Big Cass had a 44, though. Is not horrible. Enzo had a 44 as well. Their strengths don't actually lie in being wrestlers, so this makes sense. And we're going to book them in that way. I think having them be the champions and kind of just shit-talking a lot is going to be sort of how we book them, as they kind of call out the other competitors. And they become our first Alliance Tag Team title holders. After that, we have an exhibition match, a very short match, 2 minutes, 48 seconds. Nick Aldis versus Ty Ray. It's a disqualification. Ty Ray gets disqualified because Pentagon Dark ran in and attacked Nick Aldis, ending the match very quickly. We lose some heat for the storyline. Ty Ray actually performing very well, 44 in this. Nick Aldis at a 57. The match, despite only being 2 minutes, ends up being pretty okay with a 55. Leads us to a segment, does pretty well as well. Pentagon comes out with the members of the Cult and attack Nick Aldis during the match, forcing a disqualification. They throw Ty Ray out of the ring and begin attacking Aldis repeatedly, overwhelming him until he's on his knees. Pentagon goes to the ring, or to the underside of the ring, pulls out a chair, slides back into the ring, and immediately smashes Aldis in the head. Aldis kind of recoils and then kind of bounces back into his kneed, dazed position, now busted open and bleeding from his head, completely helpless. Pentagon turns to Colt Cabana, who's been kind of slightly reluctant in this situation, and hands him the chair, eyeing him menacingly, pointing at Aldis, sizing him up to discover something both wrestlers already know. Colt lifts the chair, hesitating. He closes his eyes and sighs, committed to his actions. And he drops the chair to his side, slinking out of the ring and walking away, abandoning the Cult. Pentagon's eyes are fire, staring into the back of Colt Cabana. He's made his peace with the Colt clearly, but one doesn't just leave the Colt, and there will certainly be ramifications for this. The fracturing storyline of the Colt continues and advances, gets us a 58. It's a great segment. And we have our hot shot match with Pillman versus Miro. In the match, Miro defeats Brian Pillman Jr. in 7 minutes by pinfall following interference from Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston comes in and attacks Pillman with a foreign object while the referee is distracted with Miro. And this wasn't supposed to be for the title. How did I accidentally set it for the title? Oh no. Oops. We'll win it back. It's fine. Oopsie. I guess I must have selected yes, add it to the title. It is not supposed to be for the title. So we'll fix that in post. It's not a big deal. Because it's supposed to be for the number one contendership. So Pillman loses. Miro now has a match against him next week for the title. Pillman has an in-ring performance of 44. Miro has a 67. We lose heat for the storyline, but the match is pretty okay at 51. We will turn him. We originally had him turned. He is better as babyface. Turn complete success. That's good. He goes heel in the situation. He's clearly starting to get heelish in this match, and we'll pay that off later as Pillman starts to become so egotistical. This is the beginning of his umbrage catching up to him as Eddie Kingston interferes, costs him the match. Now Miro has a title shot. He does not have the world's heavyweight title. That is incorrect. After helping Miro win, Eddie Kingston looks at the shocked and angry Pillman and simply flips him off before walking away. Eddie Kingston has fired his guns here and clearly is interfering with matches that Jarrett's setting up, clearly pissing off Pillman. He's making two very big enemies in a big way, and will probably have some major ramifications for him going forward. So we are definitely setting up sort of an Authority versus Kingston situation. It's almost like a Stone Cold Vince McMahon repeat in the NWA. Question really is, though, where does Pillman lie in this? He's definitely a heel in the ego. He's definitely thinking he's on top of the world. But Jeff Jarrett's not necessarily showing favoritism, right? I mean, Miro is a strong competitor, so it's not like he is setting him up in sort of these sleazy ways. He just kind of seems to think that Kingston's garbage and Pillman is the proper face, the proper figurehead for the company. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic, and one where I didn't necessarily want it to be set up where, Pillman's just like the corporate shill. He's sort of his own guy. He's kind of stuck in a weird situation where he's got an ego, but at the same time, like, how does he feel about now kind of things being played behind the scenes to kind of keep him in power? We'll have to find out how that kind of plays out. 59 for ending segment. Should get us about 53. Not too bad. It's a weaker show than last week. A little bit harder to book with that timing. We had 524 people, which is not bad. I definitely think starting next week, we're going to do an hour and a half. I think we're just going to need to do it. Just suck it up. Yeah, I think we just need that extra time. Just a few more angles, just a few more matches to get in there, because it's just a little too difficult to book, because I feel like there's more stories that we could have told in this episode that we should have told that we just really couldn't. Granted, we had this Rumble that, admittedly was longer in its scope, but I still think there's other things that we could have done. So I think we're going to do that from now on. All right. What did we got going on here? Looking to see... Where's our power report? There you go. show went down really well. It was considered excellent. We're putting on what we need to, which is, I think we're slowly but surely really moving in the right direction there. MLW has been hiring some handshake deals for people. It's not a big deal. And it's still at a 0.04. We're getting about, what the audience is. Has been pretty consistent, but that's fine. It's slow and steady. I still concerned about finances, but we're losing. Let's see, 7,000 a show is not horrible. We'll do the math here. I think we can come out positive. Depends on where this worker expenses is. If it's where this ends up popping up. So it seems like we're on average about 80 grand, which is certainly a lot higher than we used to be. Yeah, I just don't know if it's going to be feasible in the long term to keep Pillman. We may have to eat a termination fee at some point when we're feeling like we are done with them, because I don't know how much longer we can do a 15 grand a month. I'm looking at the math here, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing. We'll still probably be losing about 20 grand a month at this rate, which is not great when we were into positive. So I don't know. You tell me, guys, what you think, if it's worth just maybe calling it there. Now, I mean, also, we are going to get pay-per-view revenue every month, so it's another 5,000, which is not bad. And it's going to also boost up our ticket revenue a lot, because we were getting like 17. Ticket revenue for the shows are much higher. I don't know. We'll have to see. We're still going to be in the red each time, though, and that's the concerning thing. So we will have to play it by ear and see where it lies. But in my heart, I'm starting to feel like we're going to have to probably sunset Pillman at some point once this storyline's done. It might be time to let him go and be done with it. Especially because we got some talent in here that's going to be big. I don't know. All right, guys, that is it for me. We got another Power in 6 days. We got Genesis in 22 days. We got a lot of work to do, but we will get there as we build up the stories. Thank you guys for joining me. See you next time.